Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishubhat Paramahamsa Parivraja Kacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimati His Grace et Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishubhat Paramahamsa Parivraja Kacharya Ashtotara Sata Sri Srimati His Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से को श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय. जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय. गंगा माई की जय. यमुना माई की जय. श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की जय. भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय. श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय. श्री श्री गौनिताई की जय. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ सुभद्रा बलदेव की जय. गौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the Samadhivatis. All glories to the Samadhivatis. All glories to the Samadhivatis. All glories to Sri Guru Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Bhasya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvesesha Sunnavadi Paschatya Desatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamada Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth skanda, 21st chapter, entitled Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. Sloka number 33. Tam eva yuyam bhajata atma vrittibihi manaha vachaha kaya gunahi swakarmabhihi amayinaha kamadhuga angri pankajam yata adhikara avasita artha siddhayaha tameva yuyam bhajatatma vrittibihi mano vachakaya gunai swakarmabhihi amayina kamadhugangri pankajam yata adhikara vasitartha siddhayaha tameva yuyam bhajatatma vrittibihi mano vachakaya gunai swakarmabhihi amayina kamadhugangri pankajam yata adhikara vasitartha siddhayaha tameva yuyam bhajatatma vrittibihi mano vachakaya gunai swakarmabhihi amayina kamadhugangri pankajam yata adhikara vasitartha siddhayaha Vaishnavis. Sri Sri Gaurnitai ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Sri Sri Jagannath Subhadra Baladev ki jai. Tam, unto him, eva, certainly, yam, all you citizens, bhajata, worship, atma, own, vrittibihi, occupational duty, manaha, mind, vachaha, words, kaya, body, gunahi, by the particular qualities, swakarmabhihi, by occupational duties, Amayinaha, without reservation, Kamaduga, fulfilling all desires, Angri Pankajam, the lotus feet, Yata, as far as Adhikara, ability, Avasita Artha, fully convinced of one's interest, Siddhayaha, satisfaction. Translation. Prithu Maharaj advised his citizens, engaging your minds, your words, your bodies, when the results of your occupational duties, and being always open-minded, you should all render devotional service to the Lord. According to your abilities and the occupations in which you are situated, you should engage your service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with full confidence and without reservation. Then you will surely be successful in achieving the final objective in your lives. Please repeat. Prithu Maharaj advised his citizens, engaging your minds, your words, your bodies, and the results of your occupational duties, and being always open-minded, you should all render devotional service to the Lord. According to your abilities and the occupations in which you are situated, you should engage your service at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full confidence and without reservation. Then you will surely be successful in achieving the final objective in your lives. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. As stated in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sakarmana Tamabhyarchya, one has to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead by one's occupational duties. This necessitates accepting the principle of 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Prithu Maharaj therefore says, Gunai swa karma bihi. This phrase is explained in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarnyam ayasrishtam gunakarma vibhagasaha. The 4 castes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, are created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to the material modes of nature, and the particular duties discharged in those modes. A person who is situated in a mode of goodness is certainly more intelligent than others. Therefore, he can practice the Brahminical activities, namely, speaking the truth, controlling the senses, controlling the mind, remaining always clean, practicing tolerance, having full knowledge about one's self-identity, and understanding devotional service. In this way, if he engages himself in the loving service of the Lord as an actual Brahmana, his aim to achieve the final interest of life is attained. Similarly, the Kshatriya's duties are to give protection to the citizens, to give all his possessions in charity, to be strictly Vedic in the management of state affairs, and to be unafraid to fight whenever there is an attack by enemies. In this way, a Kshatriya can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his occupational duties. Similarly, a Vaishya can satisfy the Supreme Godhead by properly executing his occupational duties, engaging himself in producing foodstuffs, giving protection to cows, and trading, if necessary, when there is an excess of agricultural production. Similarly, Because Sudras do not have ample intelligence, they should simply engage as workers to serve the higher statuses of social life. Everyone's aim should be to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by engaging his mind in thinking always of Krishna, his words in always offering prayers to the Lord or preaching about the glories of the Lord, and his body in executing the service required to satisfy the Lord. As there are 4 divisions within our body, the head, the arms, the belly, and the legs. Similarly, human society, taken as a whole, is divided into 4 classes of men according to their material qualities and occupational duties. Thus, the Brahminical or intelligent men have to execute the duty of the head. The Kshatriyas must fulfill the duty of the arms. The Vaishya class must fulfill the duty of the belly. And the Shudras must fulfill the duty of the legs. In executing the prescribed duties of life, no one is higher or lower. There are such divisions as higher and lower, but since there is actually a common interest to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there are no distinctions between them. The question may be raised that since the Lord is supposed to be worshipped by great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and others, how can an ordinary human being on this planet serve him? This is clearly explained by Prithu Maharaj by the use of the word yatadhikara. According to one's ability, if one sincerely executes his occupational duty, that will be sufficient. One does not need to become like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Indra, Lord Chaitanya, or Ramanujacharya, whose capabilities are certainly far above ours. Even a Shudra, who is in the lower stage of life, according to the material qualities, can achieve the same success. Anyone can become successful in devotional service, provided he displays no duplicity. It is explained here that one must be very frank and open-minded, amayinaha. To be situated in a lower status of life is not a disqualification for success in devotional service. The only qualification is that whether one is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Sudra, he must be open, frank, and free from reservations. Then, by performing his particular occupational duty under the guidance of a proper spiritual master, he can achieve the highest success in life. As confirmed by the Lord himself, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Te Piyanti Param Gatim. Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 32nd sloka. It doesn't matter what one is, whether a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, or a degraded woman. If one engages himself seriously in devotional service, working with body, mind, and intelligence, he is sure to be successful in going back home, back to Godhead. The Lord's lotus feet are described here as Kamadugangri Pankajam, because they have all power to fulfill the desires of everyone. A devotee is happy even in this life, because although in material existence we have many needs, all his material needs are satisfied. And when he at last quits his body, he goes back home, back to Godhead, without a doubt. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjalastalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vidantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Raghunalita Sri Visakam Vitansya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. These teachings are given by Prithu Maharaj to all the citizens of the world at the beginning of his rulership, when he started to rule the earth as the supreme king. He had been enthroned as a king by the Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, great rishis, including also the Deva. And he took it as a responsibility of the king, as the ideal king. At the very beginning, he gives instructions to the citizens with the blessings of the great rishis and Vaishnavas present. He is acknowledging their presence and he is submitting himself, and in this way, he is giving his lecture in order to give a whole explanation of what is to be a king and what is to be a perfect citizen. So he is the Adi Raja, and whatever instruction he is giving can be also be given by all his successors, including at the present time. If any of the politicians are interested, they can consult the Srimad Bhagavatam and understand without any doubt what is the duty of a leader. First of all, he should know what is his duty and what is everyone else's duty. And he should explain carefully. He should see that everybody is following his own duty, including himself. So that is very important chapter in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srila Prabhupada has given elaborate purports, and we can understand from this that Srila Prabhupada was very much intent to change the political atmosphere in the whole world. Not only in America, but also in other countries as far as possible, and including in India. So all the purports by Srila Prabhupada are very important. He personally met many of the leading politicians in India, including Mahatma, he wrote Indira Gandhi, yes. Mahatma Gandhi, he wrote letter to Mahatma Gandhi. That's a very famous letter just about 3 months before his assassination. So we could read also these letters in order to understand the duty of a leader. So this explanation given by King Prithu are non-different from the teachings of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport mentions 2 slokas. Yata pavittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyarchya Siddhim Vindate Manavaha. This is one sloka quoted by Srila Prabhupada at the beginning of this purport. The translation, the meaning is, by worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all-pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work. So it seems that to worship the Lord and to achieve perfection in life doesn't seem very complicated, very out of our power. Everybody has got some power. Everybody is born in material nature, being covered with the three gunas, sattva gun, rajagun, tamagun, according to our past activities. Since time immemorial, we have been in this material world. We have developed particular propensities, mental situations, and desires, and physical, intellectual abilities, according to the association with the modes of nature. So if one is under Sattvagun, one will be very intelligent, and he'll be inclined to intellectual work for the welfare of others, especially study of the Vedic literature, being very tolerant, being very clean, and in this way he can become a Brahmana. By nature, if he is under the influence of the Sattvagun, he can develop the Brahminical qualities very easily by his work and attitude. Similarly, if one is in the mode of passion, then he can rule others, because the mode of passion is meant for them, for that. So he'll be inclined to rule others, but that should be done according to the Vedic injunctions, not for some personal gain, not just like a dictator. Dictators are also rulers, but they are not following the Vedic system of leadership. They are only after their own self-aggrandizement. Just like famous examples in the history of mankind, how Alexander from Greece, he went to other countries, Macedonia, and then Iran, Iraq, he came to India. So when he came to India, there's a story, anecdote is there, which is very interesting. He met apparently a very poor man. He was sitting under a tree. It was summertime, it was quite hot, and he was like a beggar, sitting under a tree, under the shade of a tree. And this Alexander, after having conquered all the other countries before coming to India, he met this man. And he was quite impressed how this poor man, apparently, he has nothing. He has hardly any clothes, simply sitting there. How can he live in this world? Very simple life. And at the same time, he could observe that this person, this man, he was looking very self-satisfied. He was smiling. He was not at all afraid. No, Alexander has come, the conqueror of so many countries. No, he is not afraid. Welcome to you. And so Alexander is just trying to speak to that man, and he's asking that, what is the difference between you and me? So that man, that apparently is a beggar, actually has Brahminical qualities. And he is answering to that question. He said, there is no difference. No difference. You are human being, I'm also a human being. We are spirit souls. But if we see there is some difference, I am a small thief and you are a big thief. That is a compliment. That is the answer is given. You are a big thief, I'm a small thief. So everybody is stealing his own way. But Alexander was certainly a very big dictator and a conqueror for his own. And eventually he lost all these so-called possessions and conquests. He had to give up all this and go back to his own country where he passed away without being worshipped by anybody. So sometimes Prabhupada used to tell that don't make me an Alexander the Great. Don't make me Alexander. Because the background is that Alexander conquered so many countries, planted his flag everywhere, and then he had to relinquish everything. He lost everything eventually. So Prabhupada gave, in this way, this instruction to his disciples. Don't try to establish so many centers and temples, one after another, one day here, one day there, one day new temples everywhere. Don't try to conquer like this everywhere. Establish yourself properly. If you establish temple, there must be all the rules and regulations properly followed. Not like one day after another, you establish new places. Otherwise, what will happen? You will lose everything, just like Alexander. So don't make me Alexander. So the Kshatriyas have their own duties, dharma, and if they follow this, just like Prithu Maharaj, then everybody can be benefited. Otherwise, everybody will be harassed. And just like during the dictatorship of Hitler or Mussolini or this type of so-called leaders, they harassed, they killed. Millions of people died unnecessarily during their leadership. So that should not be the case. Similarly, Vaishya people who are under the mixed influence of Rajagun and Tamagun, they should properly execute their business. Krishi, Goraksha, Varnijam. These are the three activities for the Vaishyas. Krishi, agricultural endeavor, trying to grow foodstuff like grains, fruits, like that. And then Goraksha, protecting the cows, and that will produce sufficient milk for sustenance. Vanijam, if there's excess food, then you can trade. Previously, there was no money. They were just what is called barter. They will give something, you give me something else. Bartering. Not money like now, liquid money. So, and Sudras who don't have any proper qualification, they are less intelligent, and they are happy simply serving others. Let them do so. There is a great need also for Sudras. Actually, if you have 1,000 people, average, according to the Vedic standard, you will have only one Brahmana. You may have 9 Kshatriyas. You can have 100 Vaishyas and 900 Shudras. That is the proportion, approximately. So, Shudras also can achieve perfection. When it is not that because one has a different background, one is a Shudra, and he cannot achieve perfection of life. So it is very clear from this that whatever may be our situation in life, we should not lament that I don't have any intelligence, I cannot do anything properly. Let me understand what is the goal of life. All human beings, including Shudras, they should have the ability or the opportunity to understand what is the goal of life. Swakarmana tam abhyarchya. Not simply swakarmana. Just like this, in the modern times, we have heard that everywhere throughout the world, the government have one slogan, and that also includes India. Work is worship. We have heard everybody, all the leaders, they are chanting this, just like we are chanting Hare Krishna, they are chanting, work is worship, work is worship. Work, work, work is work. There is no need for any extra endeavor to worship anybody. That is the meaning of this slogan. Work is sufficient. Because, especially in India, people used to spend a lot of time, a lot of money to go to temples, and spending a lot of time in this way at the beginning of their lives and also at the end of their life, and in between also daily doing puja, spending money. So many of these political leaders, they thought that it's a waste of time. Why people are spending so much time and money in worshipping in this manner? Let them work. And if they can work without any extra puja, then the economy will develop. And then the country will become more and more prosperous. And it will be more and more influential in the world gradually. That will be a good fortune for India or for any such country who has such a program. The communist countries also a similar program. They simply engage their people in working hard, not puja. Work is worship. There is no need of any extra activity for puja. So, Prithu Maharaj teachings include the two, work and worship, not like work is worship. If you work and worship the Lord at the same time, then your life will become successful. That is the proper teaching. If you simply work, you cannot develop the good qualities, you cannot develop God consciousness, you cannot please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because Krishna himself says, Swakarmana tamabhyarchya siddhim vindati manavaha. You work, but through your work you worship me. That should be understood clearly from the teachings of Lord Krishna and Prithu Maharaj. Not simply working. So that is very important that we have to understand. The two together should go. According to the modes of nature, we have some particular propensity. We are inclined to a particular work. That work should include the mind, the words, vacha, mana, vacha, and kaya, in this way. These three things, body, mind, words, that should be engaged. And you're engaged in your own work, and you are engaged in glorifying by thinking of the Lord. Mana, what is the business of the mind? To think, feel, will. So thinking of Krishna, Lord Krishna says, man mana, mabad bhakto, madhyaji maham namaskuru. In this way, you think of Krishna, you can organize your work. At the same time, you think of Krishna, just like Krishna is telling Arjuna that Mahamanusmara Yudhyacha. That should be the priority, not Yudhya Mahamanusmaracha. He said Mahamanusmara Yudhyacha. First of all, you remember me, you think of me, then you will be able to fight on the battlefield. That is the secret of success. So by worshiping the Supreme Lord, one can achieve all success. That doesn't mean that you should become lazy and think that, oh, anyway, the Lord is there, he can do everything. Arjuna was not advised by Lord Krishna to take rest during the battle or to go to the forest and retire. He was asked to fight, but first of all, should be Krishna conscious, Ma Manusmara, Yudhyacha. Then your fight will be successful by Krishna's mercy. So everyone's activity can be successful by following the same instruction. Remember Krishna and do your duty. Anasrita karma palam karyam karma karoti yaha sasanyasi cha yogicha naniragnir nacha kriyaha. Lord Krishna says, don't be attached to the result of your work. That is my prerogative. Karmanyeva dikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Lord Krishna says also. So in many ways in Bhagavad Gita it is very clear. We are entitled, we must work in remembrance of Lord Krishna and not be attached to the result of the work. That is, Lord Krishna will see whether your result will be so much or that much, this little, this much. That is Lord Krishna's, that is his activity. That is in Lord Krishna's hand. We don't have that result in our hand. We should not think like this. We have karmanyeva dekaraste. We are entitled, we are qualified to do any type of work according to our duty, according to Varnashram Dharma. The result depends on Lord Krishna. We should be satisfied always. So in this way, if we are always Krishna conscious, thinking that Lord Krishna is engaging me in this particular duty, and I will do my duty, and whatever result is there, that belongs to Krishna, so I will give to Krishna. Then in this way, by offering everything to Lord Krishna, or at least 50%, as Srila Prabhupada was emphasizing, giving the example of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami was left his duty as a finance minister of the Kazi, Nawab Hussain Shah, along with Sanatan. Sanatan was prime minister or chief minister, prime minister, and Rupa Goswami was the treasurer or finance minister. So when they left, being attracted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they left everything. So the Nawab became very much upset and he imprisoned Sanatan Goswami. Rupa Goswami already left the place, so he was not arrested. He went to Prayag. So he, before leaving his post, he took all his gold coins. These gold coins could fill a large boat, thousands of gold coins, and he left in this manner. And how he divided this, 50% he gave to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And the remaining balance, half of it, he kept for his family members and a quarter for his own emergency. So he also gave 10,000 coins to Sanatan Goswami so that he can escape from the jail. like that. It was utilized like this. 50% for Krishna service, for the Vedic teachings, to spread the Vedic teachings everywhere. So that example Srila Prabhupada was giving to his disciples and others, that if you engage in any business activity, that is welcome, but you must give 50% to the Krishna consciousness movement for propagating Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. That will be the standard. In this way, Swakarmana tamabhyacha. You are doing business, it's okay. Even at one point in the beginning, this Gopal Krishna, at that time was a Grihastha, and he had some business in Montreal, Canada. He was doing business, he was earning money, giving also to the temple. So at one point, Gopal Krishna, at that time, he wanted to give up his business and join ISKCON full-time engaging in devotional activities, thinking that his business was an obstacle for spiritual advancement. But Prabhupada told him, why? You don't have to give up your business. You can continue. And you can still give donations to the temple in this way, engage your business in that manner. So you will get the full mercy of the Lord. You will be successful in your devotional life in this manner. So in this way we understand that whatever it may be, whatever duty or profession we may have, it can be continued at the same time. Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji maham namaskuru. That should be there. Maham anusmara yudhyacha. That is the standard of spiritual life. To be always Krishna conscious in all our activities, then success is certain. And at the end, as Prabhupada mentions, shall go back home, back to Godhead. In the purport to this Bhagavad Gita sloka, Yata pravittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam swakarmana tamabhyacha siddhim vindati manava. Prabhupada writes, everyone should think that he is engaged in a particular type of occupation by Rishikesha, the master of the senses. And by the result of the work in which one is engaged, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, should be worshipped. If one thinks always in this way, in full Krishna consciousness, then by the grace of the Lord, he becomes fully aware of everything. That is the perfection of life. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Tesham aham samudharta. The Supreme Lord himself takes charge of delivering such a devotee. That is the highest perfection of life. In whatever occupation one may be engaged, if he serves the Supreme Lord, he will achieve the highest perfection. So similarly, in other slokas, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna tells that Mam hi partha vyapasritya yepisyu papa yonayaha striyo vaishyas tada shudras tepi yanti param gatim. Generally, in India, people may have an idea that the lower class, Shudras, they are the condemned class, especially those who belong, according to them, may belong to the higher class, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas. They think that these are very low class people, Shudras. But Krishna says that Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Te Piyanti Param Gatim. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures in 1973, March, in this temporary temple here, he quoted this sloka from Bhagavad Gita to make sure, many reporters and other people were there. So Prabhupada wanted to make sure that there should not be any such caste consciousness. That is one of the main ideas that Prabhupada wanted to establish. Similarly, his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he had to fight so much against smarta brahmanas who were very much puffed up because of their social status, considering that the Shudras are less inferior and they have no chance of perfection. They are condemned. Similarly in South India. So that's very prominent. So deliberately Prabhupada quoted this sloka that Mami Partavya Pasritya Ye Pisyu Papa Yonaya. One may be born out of because previous sinful life. One may be in a woman's body, or it may be a Vaishya Sudra. In this way, Ye Pisyu Papa Yonaya Striyo Vaishya Sadash Te Piyanti Param Gatim. So Prabhupada explained in this way that whatever may be our social position, if we are Krishna conscious, that will solve all the problems of life. And at the end, we'll go back home, back to Godhead. There is no discrimination according to the social position. And then at the end of his lecture, one gentleman, he asked a question, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, why did you say, Striyo, that women are Papa Yonis? Why they are sinful? Why you are telling like this? And why Vaishya? Why you are telling Vaishya businessmen they are sinful people? Prabhupada said immediately that I'm not telling them. I'm not telling. Krishna is telling in this shloka, Papa Yoni. So, but this is not the conclusion. They may have, because of past activity, they may have taken birth in this manner. Not very exalted position in the Brahminical status of life. They belong to the lower order, maybe less intelligent, but they have their own propensities and they can develop God consciousness. In this way, Srila Prabhupada explained that he was not telling like that. Krishna is telling. Prabhupada is simply repeating Lord Krishna's words and emphasizing the point that there should not be any prejudice. Everybody can achieve success in life, provided he becomes Krishna conscious. So many things can be added also, but already time is already running. Any other questions or comments?
And you were emphasizing that work should be done as well as the worship. Both should be done together. That reminded me of our saying that two rules we follow, saying, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So that's one thing I remembered. And you were mentioning that when you earn the money, as Prabhupada was encouraging, do the job, but give the money to Krishna consciousness. I remember one in USA, Philadelphia, one Sham Sundar Prabhu is really doing this clearly. And he recruits the people, but he says that 50% of your earning you must give to Krishna consciousness. He's really, really helping, as you're rightly saying. There are devotees who are fully engaged and multimillionaires, but they are really doing, thanks to Prabhupada, wonderful preaching. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you for comments. Any other questions? Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.